Check 1, 2. Check 3, 4. Check 5, 6. Check 7, 8. Check 9, 10. Check 11, 12. Check 13, 14. Check 15, 16. Check 17, 18. Check 1, 2.
I call to order the April meeting of the Anthony Wayne Board of Education. Carrie, would you please call roll? Oh, Carrie has no voice today, so we are going to defer to our Assistant Treasurer, Jenny.
I'm filling in.
Sorry about that.
Mr. Baden.
Here.
Mrs. Brent.
Here.
Mrs. Gwynn.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
And Mr. Pine.
Here.
All right, would you please rise and join the Pledge of Allegiance? Sorry. It's okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. All right, the first item on our agenda is to approve minutes from our March 14th meeting. Anybody have any questions or comments about?
I'll
That
make
if-
a motion to approve.
All righty. Kyle. And a second.
I'll second that.
Andy. Jenny, would you please call roll?
Mr. Baden.
Yes.
Mrs. Brent.
Yes.
Mrs. Gwynn.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Prine.
Yes.
All righty. And the treasurer's report and financial information, Jenny?
All right, so the first item, item A, is our monthly financials for the month of March. The regular AW financials, I believe, were emailed to the board earlier this week. Item B is our donations, which we are always very thankful for. Item C is our account modification authorization. So this allows the treasurer to make the necessary account modifications to ensure a positive year-end balance for fiscal year '22. And we need to start balancing now, so we need to get that approved. The next resolution is accepting the rates, approved rates for our levies. It's an annual resolution that we do every year. Item E is a resolution with Spartan Chemical Company. And this is just like our other school donation agreements. Whenever we have these agreements, the district is always made whole by the company. Item F is a resolution for execution of a real estate purchase contract. So the real estate's located at 6434 Texas Street in White House for a price of $185,000 plus closing costs. Item G is advertising for the paving bids. And then the last thing that we need to add is we need to schedule a board workshop session. So I know Carrie listed a couple of possible dates. We have April 29th, May 2nd, May 9th. I don't know if any of those dates would work.
I think those were all fine for me. When I looked.
Can you repeat those dates?
Sure. April 29th, May 2nd, and May 9th.
A morning meeting. Carrie just whispered.
Yeah, it would be early.
I cannot do the second. I can tell you that.
Okay.
Okay.
The other ones are probably fine for me.
The 29th, yeah, Friday.
I'd say 29th would probably be the best.
29th or May 9th, so I'm going to go with the 29th. Jana?
Okay, so
Okay.
April 29th,
7:30, 8 o'clock, I don't know,
7:30.
7:30 is fine.
7:30.
Okay.
Is that okay for you, Jana?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Then we need a motion.
Well, I had a
Sorry.
couple questions.
Oh,
That's okay.
I do too.
The paving bids, that's just for across the district, there's just some improvements?
Basically, the two main ones are at Waterville to redo the playground area there and make some modifications to the drain areas within there. And then if you've been back here on the front of the CAO, those two sections there, because the road has been done when we did the additional parking lot out there. So these are up to be done.
To be
because
redone.
they're original from 2003
Right.
this time. And then there might, I can't remember, Matt, is there anything else in there? Oh, that's right, yeah.
Okay,
There's a small section
some small
there.
ones, okay. All right, and the real estate purchase, I just wanted to mention that that's one of the houses out in front of White House Elementary. And I think that was it. Jana, did you say you had a question?
It was paving.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
And that, and just to mention that again, in the paving, when we do, when Matt submits his budget each year, he has his plans, and obviously, he's got everything that involves operations is in his plan.
Right.
And as we update things, whether it be HVAC, or we're talking about paving, or electrical, and lighting, and all the, so, he puts that into his plan, and he's constantly looking at roofs, and
Right.
when's the replacement, when do we need to do that? So, these are the typical things that are coming up in his plan.
No, and I figured that too, because we didn't do any major building or anything, but
It is estimated around 363,000.
363,000 estimate, okay. For the thing, okay.
363,000 is what she says, estimate.
The estimate.
363,000 estimate is what Carrie says. Okay. All right. Any other questions on the treasurer's report? If not, I need a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Kyle, and a second.
I'll second.
Jeff. And Jenny, would you please call roll?
Mr. Baden,
Yes.
Mrs. Brent,
Yes.
Mrs. Gwynn,
Yes.
Mr. Miller, and Mr. Prine.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Jenny. And superintendent educational reports, Jim.
Thank you. Strategic Planning Retreat is scheduled for April 27th. I mentioned that before. We'll have about 65 or so people in this room. The consultant will take us through a variety of activities. We're coordinating that right now to finalize that agenda. I'll do the initial presentation and participate in some of the activities that we do during that. Community members and parents, staff, we've had some students from the high school to be involved in that. We're looking forward to that activity.
Tell me the time on that.
If I remember correctly, it's 8 to 3:30. Yes.
Okay.
Then the request for qualifications for facility planning and design, construction management services, really what that is I've mentioned to you the need to update our facility master plan. It's been about 5 years or so since we did that last, and we said that at this time we would proceed with an update. And so with the state auditor's office still not giving us an exact timeline on their FAQ about what we can and cannot do in regards to levies and so forth, I believe it's in our best interest because we got to get this moving forward, to look for outside groups that are able to do this work and collaborate with us in our community and see what kind of qualifications we get through that process. There's a formal process by state law that we have to go through after we receive when we receive the qualifications. And then if we decide that we believe there's a group that can do this work for us, we would bring that before you, discuss that with you for your approval. But this is just a process I wanted to mention to you because we're going to go out for an advertisement and it lists all the qualifications and requirements for that process. And then it'll be placed in the paper, and then we'll receive those, review those, and then make the decision on whether we want to proceed forward with one of those groups based on the criteria that are outlined in the law for that.
Timeframe?
The advertisement, I think, is for 2 weeks, and then it'll probably be about I'm hoping that within a 4 to 6 week window, we'll have potential recommendation for the board, if
So
that's the
maybe
direction we want to
End
go.
of June or,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I did want to mention that, right now, we're almost to the end of the fiscal year for the state of Ohio, just like school districts. The state tax surplus right now is $1.4 billion. We were at this point, maybe a little bit ahead of this point, 2 years ago, when the state budget was, or a year ago when the state budget was created for this year and next year. And the great news is, even with the tax cuts that they put in place for this fiscal year, the state is at that point. My suggestion, as I've shared with some legislators and others in Columbus, is that now it's time to fully fund the fair school funding model that was approved in the last budget, because it's not being fully funded, and it's time. If you have $1.4 billion in excess tax revenue coming in, I believe it's time to fully fund that. And the rhetoric around, well, we'll look into that and so forth, we've been waiting, it's time. Carrie can tell you it's time. It's something that needs to move forward. We'll see where the state goes with that. It's a lot of excess money to have in there, and their rainy day fund is already full, so they're not gonna put it into there, so we'll see where that goes. I'm just mentioning that to you. I'll be interested to see at the end, I would imagine 1.6 to up to 2 million, or 2 billion, being in there by June
End of the
30th.
fiscal.
Yeah. So we'll see, like I said, where that goes.
Now, am I correct in saying, what is it, prisons are number one and schools are number two as
Yeah,
far as budget
yeah.
items in the state?
Yeah,
So,
we pay roughly $63,000 per person in prison, but,
Yeah.
we get $1,600 to $1,700 per
Right.
student.
right,
And I've shared that.
Right.
And it's unfortunate, but that's the reality of where we're at, so we'll see where that goes, moving forward. I do want to mention, and take some time to celebrate, some of our extracurricular activities, throughout the district, but especially, at the high school, junior high, and a little bit at FT I want to mention today. Our band program, our music program do a phenomenal job throughout our K through 12 to get them interested in the elementary, but then in fifth grade, we've got 105 new band students this year. Excited about being one of the, kids at the high school being marching, during football games or marching in a parade or, those types of things. And when you start looking at year after year, the accomplishments of our marching band, our concert band, our jazz band, and just individual performances, it's truly amazing. From all the local parades that they do, the football games, to local events, to, this past year in the Chicago Magnificent Mile Lights Parade, that it's just, with our marching band, just truly amazing. They do a phenomenal job. When I go out and talk to people throughout the state, oh yeah, you got that really great band. That's what you hear. And so Roy and Adam do a phenomenal job, and the parents, we can't thank them enough for just doing a great job of supporting their children, but we can't, the students put the work in, and they do a phenomenal job in doing that. So I do want to mention that. Also, the concert bands, MEA District 1, large group, educated event, superior rating, the solo and ensemble educated event, superior ratings, just, once again, they do a tremendous job. Junior high program, they had a lot of success there, as outlined in the document I shared with you. I think one of the things that I kept hearing about, they did such a great job at the Walleye game with the Star Spangled Banner, going out and performing at the beginning of that game. And just some of the individual and group efforts that they had at the OMA contest. So hats off to them. This tremendous program. Can't thank them enough in what they do for our students, but also what the students do and how proud we are of them, and the They just bring another element to what we do for students, or what we do in our school district, and I just can't highlight them enough and thank them enough for what they do. So I just wanted to mention that. Also with athletics, we had, in the winter season, we had a tremendous, I think, success, whether it be, with the girls' basketball program at the high school, obviously, 22-6 overall, and all champions, district champions, regional champions, Final Four appearance. Watching them and down in Dayton, they did a phenomenal job against a very talented Reynoldsburg team who went on to win the state championship. So, just a great performance from them, and there's a lot of success, I think, in the future for that program. Gymnastics, you don't hear much about them, but they were NL runners-up, district champion runner-up. You had 3 gymnasts qualifying for state. And they've kind of just kept that program going, and so we see more and more success. And so looking forward to their future as well. We had swim and dive competitors. We had 2 individuals and 1 relay team qualify for state, so that's really good from that program. And we've seen some success over the last few years with students getting down to the state competition, and success prior to that as well. With bowling, we had a bowler qualify for, the tournament, the district tournament. We get a lot of kids out there going to Fallen Timbers and bowling, and they enjoy it, they have a good time, and that sport is growing in our district as well. So excited to see where that's going to go. Cheerleading, my daughter would be remiss if I didn't mention them. NL championship runner-up, state runner-up, got 7th at UCA Nationals down in Orlando. Another quality year from them, and just outstanding performances. And then we had a little bit of surprise in wrestling with a wrestler getting down to state and finishing 8th at state, and he'll be one of our All-Ohio Wall members now with that performance. And so just thankful for the success of the high school, and John Snyder and the coaches and all the players, and as well as the parents that support them throughout the season and throughout the off-season as well, because we know what that's involving now more than ever. Winter sports for junior high, 7th grade basketball boys did well in their season. 8th grade NL champions, undefeated regular season. Just a really solid performance from those kids. I'm excited to see what lies for them in the future. Our cheerleading program at the junior high, they've got first place in a cheer and dance competition down at BG High School this year. Girls basketball NL champions in 7th grade, 8th grade NL finalists. Just 2 great seasons there. And wrestling getting 3rd place at NLL. Just a lot of success that we're seeing. I think that's a variety of factors from, obviously their youth sports programs that they're involved in, to off-season AAU performances and things that they're involved in. I think, as we see the success as it goes from junior high to high school, it's a lot of involvement in our weight room. And it's not just lifting weights, it's agility, flexibility, and strength training as well. We have kids that are in multiple sports, and I think that helps them as well in the individual sports. When we look at our girls' program in basketball, a lot of those players were on the soccer, team. A lot of those girls will be running track, and some of those girls will be down at state this year, So it's just, they're very involved, and it's great for us to have those opportunities for those kids, whether it be, music in the band, whether it be choir, whether it be the plays, whether it be athletics as well. There's lots of opportunities for our kids to be involved, and I believe that can also help them with their academics as well. So I just wanted to highlight those things for you and talk about those programs, because just lots and lots of success this year in those 2 areas. Any questions about those items? Okay. Item B, overnight trips. We got 2 overnight trips. when we talk about success, our FCCLA program, our FFA program, they're going on to these events because of the success that they have in their programs, and we can't be prouder of them. So at this time, I would ask that you approve A and B in one motion unless you have questions.
Anything? Okay, I need a motion to approve.
I'll move.
Jana, and a second.
I'll second.
Kyle?
Sorry.
Jenny, would you please call roll?
Mr. Baden?
Yes.
Mrs. Brent?
Yes.
Mrs. Gwynn?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
And Mr. Prine?
Yes.
And superintendent personnel recommendations.
Thank you. Item A, we have resignations and retirements. I want to thank Jill Beach for her many years of service. She's taking a job with ODH in the nursing area, so we appreciate her service to the high school. I know that we were interviewing the last few days for nurses at the high school, and so we look forward to that process and filling that position. Item B, employment, and so you have those individuals listed there. And I'll mention too, you're going to, April and May especially, you see a lot of hiring for next school year. And so you're going to see substitutes and coaches and extracurriculars and all of those types of things. Next month, you're going to see contracts that are up for renewal for this next year and so forth. And so just be aware that we may have to hire somebody for the remainder of this year, but most likely, it's mostly going to be for next school year. So we're in that kind of season of March, April, May that we do all of that. Item C are volunteers. We're always happy to have our parents and community members step up to volunteer. Item D, limited supplemental contracts we want you to approve there. Item E are contract amendments as based on the recommendation of Mr. Herman. Item F are supplemental contracts based on the recommendation of Mr. Herman, and I would ask that you approve A through F in one motion at this time unless you have questions.
Any questions? If not, I need a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
And a second.
I'll second.
Jeff. Jenny, would you please call roll?
Mr. Baden?
Yes.
Mrs. Brent?
Yes.
Mrs. Gwynn?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
And Mr. Prine?
Yes.
Item G are substitute employees, and as listed, like I said, we're looking for classified and certified subs all the time, but this is the majority of people that we already have who are willing to work next year as well. And so we're asking that you approve those at this time.
I need a motion to approve the substitute list.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Jana? Jenny, would you please call roll?
Mr. Baden?
Yes.
Mrs. Brent?
Abstain.
Mrs. Gwynn?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
And Mr. Prine?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Jim. At this point in the meeting, we will take any comments from people in attendance, which we had one sign up for it. Mrs. Yakubek.
Thank you. My name is Sandy Yakubek, and the more research I do, the more frustrated I get about what I see happening to our school system and the effect it's having on our children. Just because the frosting, the money, looks delicious does not mean the cake is not poison. CRT and SEL. These ideologies have nothing to do with the foundational education. They are all about pushing a particular ideology or perspective on our children. It's called indoctrination. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. What does that mean? Where did this come from? It's a philosophy developed by Friedrich Hegel, a German philosopher, and was adopted by Karl Marx, a socialist revolutionary. Think of it in terms of a triangle. The thesis is the status quo, the antithesis or discord to create a problem that is very bad so everyone panics in fear. Note that word. Synthesis, an answer or solution that is half as bad. Then the triangle continues. Another crisis is created, and each time people giving up more of their personal freedoms and rights for a solution that is half as bad as the crisis out of fear. People are then thankful the government restored order. Karl Marx called this critical theory. In our situation, the antithesis was COVID, the unnecessary fear, the division created with the masking and vaccine policy, all this created by the government. The synthesis, the money, created out of nowhere to fund relief programs and awarded to schools to promote their indoctrinating programs. The triangle continues. Last month, I asked you if you even knew who was behind CRT and SEL. While researching, I found this out from the World Economic Forum. It's a 90-page document. New vision for education, fostering social and emotional learning through technology. How many of you even know anything about the World Economic Forum? Who leads and who belongs to this organization? It is an organization of globalists who have decided they know what is best for us and how we should live. The World Economic Forum is the international organization for public-private cooperation. How many of you even realize what that actually means? The forum strives to model world-class corporate governance, the rise of the corporation. Who decided and gave them the right to become involved in our children's education? Who decided the curriculum they are pushing is the curriculum we should use or even want? Are our children really getting an academic education? Then I found this. An update on social and emotional learning outcome research. One excerpt from their conclusion. The higher academic performance of SEL program participants translated into an 11 percentile point gain in achievement, suggesting that SEL programs tend to bolster rather than detract from students' academic success. How can we say that when, for the sake of equity, we keep lowering the standards? Also, while researching, I found a download from Encyclopedia Britannica, SEL Activities Guide. The guide shows you how to use a 4-step framework and makes it easy to infuse SEL competencies across the curriculum, building confidence and community in your classroom with these ready-to-teach sample lessons and activities. Promoting mental health through SEL. This guide includes 2 ready-to-use mental health lessons. Think about that. As well as additional activities for students, teachers, and parents. However, teachers are the only ones that can download the program. There are numerous sites for teachers to draw from. Who is monitoring that data? They, the World Economic Forum, answer to the stakeholders, and we, the parents, are not included in that group. The worst part is they never told, asked, or informed you about anything. They just started incorporating this into our education system. They never asked you. We are giving up more and more of our parental rights to the government, which is making you believe you're doing the right thing, while children and families are being destroyed. Please wake up, speak up.
Thank you for your comments. That's the last item on our agenda for today. I need a motion to adjourn if there's no other business.
I'll make that motion.
All righty. Kyle, and a second?
I'll second.
Jenny, would you please call roll?
Mr. Baden,
Yes.
Mrs. Brent,
Yes?
Mrs. Gwynn,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Prine.
Yes.
All right, thank you all for coming, and our next meeting is May 16th, right here at 6 PM. Have a good evening.